It's an honour for me to be here today. We stand in solidarity with our Maori brothers and sisters who are subject to the same racist colonial regime, namely the British Crown, and their evil deeds that they've done. Australia's a crime scene. Because there's no treaty, there's no foundation, a legal foundation to occupy our land or apply their law to the Aboriginal people. It's a criminal nation here. It's a criminal society, hasn't got a legal foundation to stand on. They're guilty of crimes against humanity against the Aboriginal people. In fact, everyone in this country today lives off the proceeds of crime. Namely genocide, premeditated criminal acts. 240 years we've been suffering this shit. And we stand by our sisters and brothers all through the Pacific who've suffered the same fate as us. And the Maoris got a treaty back in 1836. We got one in 1835 that founded Melbourne. That was declared a fraud and deceit. Batman's treaty. That filthy dog, he came fresh from Tasmania after killing the blacks on the Black Line in Tasmania. Batman, statue up the road there, commemorate that lying racist dog who founded this town. Nearly every treaty that's been done with Indigenous people around the world has been broken. Every colonised country in this world is suffering. The Aboriginal peoples of those places, no colonisation is just another word for terrorism. Legitimised by the Crown, who are legally occupying this land. Australia's never been subject to international law. Only since 2002 they have. They got away with the genocide of Aboriginal people for 50 years. When the rest of the world signed up on the Genocide Convention. Australia didn't. They were given three options. One was the treaty, one was to recognise the rights of Indigenous people, and option C was to continue to fundamentally alter the environment in every aspect. 1949, Menzies government, the hero of that John the Racist Howard. Now this is a crime scene in Australia. They're guilty of crimes against humanity, and there's no doubt about it. Sooner or later, we're going to drag this sorry country into the International Criminal Court just for the record and put it on the record. Justify your occupation, white Australia, and support what's going on over here. Everything that's going on in the Pacific, Australia's responsible for. This is a powerhouse colony in the Pacific region. They dictate what goes on around here, and that's why they ain't got no treaty business here. They tried to exterminate the Aboriginal people. Smallpox, concentration camps. There's probably about 500 concentration camps in this country people don't know nothing about. Aboriginal people lived in these places for generations. We were forced to assimilate into this dark age, backward society called England. English society. Barbarians of the highest order. Check it out if you don't believe me. Every time they've made a law for Aboriginal people, it's a crime against our people. They haven't got consent to occupy our land or to apply their law to Aboriginal people. We don't need your backward dark age system of law. It's backward. It's barbarians. It's greedy thieves. And that's what it represents to me and my people. In Victoria, we own 0.01% of the land, the Aboriginal people. 180 years ago, we had 180% and we controlled it. And we looked after it. It was a pristine environment. You could drink the water out of the Yarra. You could breathe the air. And that's what we handed on to our children. It's a sacred land here. It's got a sacred law that nobody seems to know nothing about.
Ngai wie ki a kotahira te mana nui a ki wā. Ngai wie ki a kotahira te mana nui a ki Kia mara, ki te mana motuha ke me te aroha. Kia mara, ki te mana motuha ke me te aroha. Follow up too on a point that Robbie made about Australia being the colonial base of the Pacific. If we look at the Australian Federal Police behind me, they have become in the last 10 years a paramilitary force in the Pacific. They have spent the last 10 years through AusAid
Party of genocide! Who are the terrorists would like to know?
and their international deployment force, which is ready to take grip and to oppress people all over the Pacific. We have a demographic of young men in the Pacific Islands, and they have labelled our young men as a transnational youth gang problem. Shame! They are the problem!
Haere atu puaka.
Haere atu ngā puaka, get out of Australia and get out of the Pacific! Kia ora.
People here are living off the proceeds of crime.
In representation of the Mapuche people of Chile, to support the Maori, my brothers and sisters. We have been suffering the same situation in Chile for a long time. We had one of our sisters in hunger strike not long ago. We were fighting all around the world. We were protesting and we won. The Chilean government didn't have any other option to accept all what our sister was asking for. So we have to keep fighting. We need to keep protesting. We have the freedom to do it. That's the only way we can win. Thanks.
Thank you very much for coming. We are becoming more like whānau every day, and it's good to see that the same people that are out on Invasion Day supporting Aboriginal sovereignty are out here today supporting Māori sovereignty. There's nothing we can't do when we start working together. Kia ora. Kia ora.